Good day and welcome to this video lectures. In this lecture, I will discuss two cases. The first case is a 3-bus system wherein the generators has internal admittance. And the second case is also a 3-bus system wherein the transmission lines are modeled as pi equivalent model. This means that the lines has shunt admittance at both ends of the line. After I discuss the two cases, we will try to input the changes of Y-bus elements into Octave and we will see the difference. Now let's start with the first case. This is the same diagram I used in my previous video lectures, but this time, as our first case, I inserted a shunt admittance at bus 1 and bus 2. Which we considered as internal admittance of generator 1 and generator 2. So we have negative J4 for generator 1 and negative J3 for generator 2. Now let's build a Y-bus matrix. This is also a 3x3 matrix. The admittance from bus 1 to bus 2 is negative J10. So we write it as positive J10 because it is negative of negative J10 is positive J10. Y13 is J15. So the sum of non-diagonal elements is negative J10 plus negative J15, which is negative J25. But in bus 1, there is also a shunt admittance of negative J4. So the total self-admittance Y11 element is negative J29. Y21 is equal to Y12, which is J10. Y23 is equal to J5. So Y22 is negative J10 plus negative J5 plus the shunt admittance of negative J3 and the total self-admittance Y22 is negative J18. Y31 is equal to Y13, which is J15. Y32 is equal to Y23, which is J5. And since there is no shunt admittance at bus 3, the total self-admittance Y33 is negative J20. The procedure is the same. The required equations for QK and BK are also the same. Since we completed the Y-bus elements of the first case, let's begin with the second case. To make it simple, we will consider only the line 1 or the line from bus 1 to bus 2 to have a charging admittance at both ends of the line. Why is it positive J4 and positive J3? Since it is a capacitive reactance, it is negative J. So to get the admittance, it is the reciprocal of impedance, which is 1 over negative J, which is equal to positive J. Now let's build a Y-bus matrix. This is also a 3x3 matrix. The admittance from bus 1 to bus 2 is negative J10. So we write it as positive J10 because it is negative of negative J10, which is positive J10. Y13 is J15. So the sum of non-diagonal elements is negative J10 plus negative J15, which is negative J25. But in bus 1, there is a shunt admittance of J4. So the net YY1 self-admittance is negative J21. Y21 is equal to Y12, which is J10. Y23 is equal to J5. So Y22 is negative J10 plus negative J5 plus the shunt admittance of J3, and the net self-admittance Y22 is negative J12. Y31 is equal to Y13, which is positive J15. Y32 is equal to Y23, which is J5. And since there is no shunt admittance at bus 3, Y33 is equal to negative J20. So the difference between case 1 and case 2 is the sign of shunt admittance. In conclusion, if the shunt admittance is inductive, it is additive to the self-admittance. And if it is capacitive, it is subtractive. The given parameters are the same, and the procedure and the required equations are also the same. Now let's go to Octave to input the changes in YBus elements. So this is the sample problem in my previous video lectures. What we are going to do is to compare the results of the simulation. So we have 3 simulations to compare, and these are simulations from my previous video lectures. Number 2, simulations of first case and second case, wherein we add shunt admittance at generator for first case, and for second case, we add shunt admittance of line 1. In this simulation from my previous video lectures, I have made few fine-tuning in this script, but it cannot affect the results. I add another script for B2, which is B2M equals to 0.99 per unit. I also add another equation for B2, which is B2 is equal to B2 divided by absolute B2 times B2M. The purpose of these changes is to maintain the given voltage of B2 at 0.99 per unit. What we are interested is the angle of B2. I will run this again, and then I will copy the results to MS Word. So we will run this again, and this is the results of the simulation. We will copy the results to MS Word. So this is the results of our previous simulation. Now we will go back to Octave to input the changes in the Y admittance matrix for our first case. So for our first case, we will go back to our video lectures. So in our first case, we have changes in the Y admittance For the first row, negative J29, 10, 15. Negative J29, 10, 15. So there's no changes in the of diagonal elements. For the second row, we have changes also in Y22, negative J18. Negative J18. For the third row, there is no changes in the third row because in bus number 3, we have no changes in the shunt admittance, and because this is only a load bus. So we are finished with the inputting of Y bus elements. So we will save it and then run it. So this is the results of the simulation. We will copy this and so this is the first case with shunt admittance of generator. Now we will start our second case. For the second case, we have negative J21, 10, 15. Negative J21, 10, 15. For the second row, we have negative J12. Of course, there's no changes with the third row because there's no additional shunt admittance in bus number 3. So we will save this and then run the simulations. So we will copy again the results to MS Word. So this is for the second case. With shunt or charging admittance at line 1. So we have the results of the simulation of the 3 simulations. So we will notice in Q2 for the first simulation, we have negative 0.1485 per unit. For the first case, we have positive 2.7918 per unit. And for the second case, we have negative 30.888 per unit. So what is the meaning of these changes? So we will be going to analyze these results. So in our previous simulations, we have negative reactive power for bus number 2. So it means that the generator generate negative reactive power. It means that the network has enough reactive power and low demand for reactive power, which is the inductive load in the system. So it means that the network delivered a reactive power to generator number 2. So in first case, we will notice that the reactive power for generator number 2 will become positive with the addition of shunt admittance at the generator side. So this means that the generator deliver reactive power into the network or in local bus number 2. Because of the addition of shunt admittance at generator, which is also an inductive loads. So the generator number 2 deliver a positive reactive power with the addition of shunt admittance. So this will add to the reactive power into the network. So for our second case, we have negative 3.08 reactive power generated from bus number 2. So this means that the network has enough available reactive power with the addition of shunt or charging admittance at line 1. This is also a load, but this is not an inductive load because this is a charging admittance, which is also the same with the capacitor. So it has an available reactive power to be delivered to the network. So this means that the generator generates negative reactive power. So it means that the generator will decrease its excitation from the exciter to lower its terminal voltage because of the excess of reactive power coming from the network. So for B2, we will see that the angle for B2 in our previous simulation is 3.31, which is almost the same with our first case, and in our second case it increased only a little. So for B3, which is the load bus, there's no big changes in the results. So that is our analysis in these simulations. In summary, with the addition of inductive loads in the system, the generator in the system will generate a reactive power to deliver to the network. But when the network has enough source of reactive power like capacitor banks and other corrective source, the generator will generate a negative reactive power. So it means that the generator will decrease its excitation. So that's all in this video lectures. Thank you very much.